It was the 1930s. James Cagney was one of Warner Brothers' biggest stars, but after a dispute between the two, Cagney went on an independent streak with some lower-budget forgotten films, before making a grand return to the studio he called home. In 1936, he was in a movie titled Great Guy. Yep, that's the title. He's just Great Guy. See, even the characters know he's a great guy. Great guy, great guy. Does it make for a great movie? No. Cagney plays Johnny Cave, who stumbles into the chief deputy position for the Department of Weights and Measures after its current leader is badly injured from local thugs trying to pull schemes under the department's nose. Johnny is no rule breaker though. He does his job well. He finds lead weights in the meats at the co-op, discovers a gas station that has been charging for shorted gallons, and the local mob tries to buy him out to no avail, leading to some epic fights and tension of diminishing proportions. I didn't even realize the Department of Weights and Measures was a legit thing, but lo and behold, you find out something new every day. Of course, the idea of watching James Cagney just do his daily job wouldn't seem too exciting, but he of course gives a witty, charming performance like usual, so I don't really mind the first act. In fact, the idea of him taking on the hopeless situation reminds me of High Noon, but with a more uplifting attitude. The only problem is that this is 1936, still in the early days of sound, and for these independent studios like Grand National Pictures, which admittedly has one of the coolest opening logos of early cinema, they unfortunately don't have the budget to back a lavish, large set, but also don't have the mindset to pull off a smaller production. It's obvious that the money is going towards Cagney, who became free of the studio system for a short time, and the small companies poured as much as they could into these stars to gain box office attention, even if the screenplays are subpar. With almost no musical score and a 66-minute runtime, there's just not much of an opportunity for this piece to go anywhere, but there's a few moments that are worth talking about. Cagney is assaulted by a gang of thieves who try to frame him for drunk driving, which isn't the first time I've seen this done on screen. It happened in North by Northwest, but even there I thought the idea was a bit far-fetched. Here, there's almost no setup for what happens, so you might get a bit confused. You can also feel the censor's hands all over this, with multiple edits that feel oddly placed and sloppy, so I can imagine they weren't cool with the exploitation of drunk driving being used as a criminal scheme. There's a scene where Cagney punches a guy at a party, and apparently this was a legit punch, and the actor ended up breaking his nose because of it. Imagine having that on your resume. Yeah, I can act, I can do monologues, and I can take punches from the public enemy himself. There's just too much muddled story going on, like the villains hiding paper evidence in a closet behind the crease of the wall, or this thing about Cagney not wanting to propose to his girlfriend because he finds the idea of buying a ring to be a swindle. He has this whole ongoing relationship that never becomes a focal point. They just break up at one point, only to get back together by the end. It's trying to be this classic detective thriller, but without the thrills. The only saving grace is the final fight, which happens for almost no reason. Cagney arrests the villain at the end, and even though the perpetrator is showing no restraint, he starts beating the hell out of him. Props are getting thrown around, it goes on for way too long. It's like if Star Wars was wrapping up and they decided to do one more shootout in the throne room. There's nothing to gain, but honestly, it's the best part of the movie. I don't really recommend this to anyone unless you're trying to finish the actor's filmography. There's better detective thrillers out there, and this is one of the many public domain features that have no impact in the modern age. But the Department of Weights and Measures is an underutilized trope in cinema, so maybe they should give this a remake, and if they do, please make the final fist fight even longer. Thanks to all my Patreon supporters. For only $7, you can get your own monthly movie review. Ask me to review anything I haven't already. There's also other perks like blogs, exclusive videos, and early access. You can also follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And thanks so much for watching this video.